We may only have 2 weeks left here in the LPL, but that's plenty of time for fun, plenty of time for more exciting games. We're here week 8, day 3, looking in on the Chongqing Arena, the Snake Pit as it were, in preparation for our first matchup of the day between Snake and Victory 5. And before we do that, introducing ourselves a little bit, my name is Matt Niberia Clinton Daniel. I'm joined once again by Barento Raz Muhammad. It's good to be back, Raz. Good to be here today.
It's been some time, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been a little bit. I've just been dying a little bit. That's fine. I'm still alive. I got old Yorick ulted, so I got like, what, 10 more seconds? Something like that?
Hopefully.
We're going to find out. I mean, if we're lucky.
Yep.
But, of course, we got to talk about yesterday's matches before we get into today's, because we had a little bit of a surprise in the first series.
Yeah, first series was real fun. For a lot of people coming into this one, BLG was riding on a huge high on their major Korean imports. Remember, Kuro and ADD, they still had a great series. WE just came out stronger. CA and Mystic had fantastic performances, and it really goes to show what the crit changes come through, because like it was based off of Mystic's Jinx game that did it for them. I was really excited to see how they would perform when those changes came through. He still had his Vayne game, so that's fair enough. Like, you get one of those.
Right.
But going to show that Mystic is just as flexible, immediately just waiting, biding his time until the patch changes come through before he can shine.
You gotta love seeing the Jinx pick up, one of my favorites of all time. And of course, Suning versus TOP. Yeah, it's a 1-2 scoreline, but Suning really came out and surprised us compared to what we've been seeing recently.
Please watch that last game too. TOP may have won it, but Maple came in strong with his Nico mid play. So I was like, it was AD Nico mid too. So a lot of surprises there. You're right. They came out strong. It doesn't showcase in the standings. They're still not looking too good. But I like it for the next few series.
They're a little bit off the playoffs still, so hopefully this is the burst they need to get back into the top 8. And speaking of the playoff contention, this is something both of our teams today and one of our later series is going to have to pay attention to, because our first series, Snake versus V5, both of them are vying for that spot. Snake has been struggling a little bit more, but V5 are just on the cusp of that top 8.
That's huge for me, because Sino Dragons seem like, you know, usually the Komodo Dragons are the predators, but for them, they've been stagnating a little bit. And it's on to the other predators. You already mentioned the two names in my eyes being Victory 5 and Team WE in this case. A lot of teams that we are coming into this one with that are closing in on them.
Yeah, Rogue Warriors, this is a really concerning series for them, especially coming up later in the day, because this is, to our knowledge, the very last time that they have a chance of making it into playoffs.
Yeah, just checking up with the statistician. They said that that was the case, and I want to be able to call it right then and there. But first series for me, of course, we're already going to be like looking that one as close as possible. I want to see what Snake looks like with Fenfen. Just because Fenfen came in my eyes, a strong performance in their last series, even though at the end of the day, they lost. it looked much better than their previous two, the Mala and Andy. I liked his first showing, which says quite a bit. So I want to see him continue to be run until maybe like we go into the summer split.
And especially continuing, you know, considering the fact that he didn't have time to practice with the team.
Yep.
This was sort of like an emergency announcement. They were like, hey, we got Fenfen. He's playing tomorrow. Have fun. Like, that was about all the warning anyone involved got. So seeing him perform that well is something that I want to see carried forward into these next games, because it can really only get better with that little practice in the teams.
Yeah, I think that's something that we'll have to see going forward. And I think Victory 5 will be a good shot for them, because I'm liking Corn quite a bit.
Yeah, and Victory 5 don't have that problem. You know, they've had the entire same roster the whole split, and they've got a lot of synergy developed between the members. And, you know, when you look in their team fighting, when you look in all the plays that are made, it's not always just a one-man show. Some of these teams we have, like Rogue Warriors later in the day, it's like the Jongwooji show. But when it comes to V5, I feel like they have a little bit more diversity in who's making the plays.
Look, I know you feel like that's the case, but in reality, it feels like what happens end of the day is that Jinoo, I know we talk about this team being focused on their like solo lane players, Corn in the top lane, and Jinoo. Jinoo's been the standout performer, constantly looking towards carry pick options on the Riven, and he's been, no matter who they go up against, he looks good because of the jungle pressure that goes topside. What I want to see from this team is, you know, a partner in crime, and I think it's going to be Y4. I think Y4, when we see him coming out in team fights, his ability to play front to back when he does have a front line is exceptional. I just want to see that consistency, because a lot of the times the pick ban doesn't allow him to have like a reliable frontliner. And so when that's the case, these team fights can be chaotic. And he doesn't look as good as consistently as Asura when he's going up against them. So I want to be able to see the AD carry have such a strong performance, because if I'm looking about Victory 5 and what sets them apart from the rest, they have an exceptional top laner. Corn, while he is good, the LPL pool mid laners are just better. I want to be able to see that Y4 has his LGD-esque performance where he is consistently strong in team fights and can output the damage and be there alongside Jinoo.
And we've seen that Kalista be an absolutely massive pickup for him. Of course, he's going to pick up the quadra kill here in just a second. Oh, it's juicy, Raz. Nice. But, you know, more importantly, the pick as a whole has been really successful for him. He's got a 22 KDA on it so far, and that's for Y4, for anyone really. 22 KDA is absolutely ridiculous. You know, we were praising Jinoo early on in the season for his Riven pick when he had 3 games on it, 32 KDA. These are kind of crazy things.
And so let's just take a look at the Snake roster, because they already talked about Fenfen coming in. He's going to be joined with Flandre in the top lane, SofM in the jungle, Asura and Maestro being their bottom lane. It's been a consistent roster, which we haven't seen from Snake in the past. So that's what I like about it. Synergy's starting to come through.
And V5 are keeping with the similar position as well. They do have a sub-jungler, but they keep using Ben 4, Jinoo, Ben 4, Corn, Y4, and Road in the bottom lane. It's just they try to keep this consistent lineup, work on that synergy, especially between the top and the jungle.
So Ben 4 is coming in consistently. I like Ben 4 quite a lot. If we're just talking about how he's able to come out and really amplify the strength of this team, it's been in the fact that their top jungle, jungle proximity has been second best in the league next to Ning. He understands that Jinoo's performing, he's going topside pretty consistently, and they're able to eke out advantages top lane, and Jinoo has a great top lane IQ to be able to rotate towards these fights and be able to have great flank pressure. So this is what I like from Victory 5. The only thing that I ponder about, because you saw that one substitution, is that Road is coming in for Lei. I love Lei as a support. I think Lei's been like the picture-perfect person for consistency. He's had a large fight in his career to be able to go from, you know, starting out in Team King in the LPL stage, goes in the LDL, finds his way back on Victory 5, and he's showcased to me that he's the stronger performer of the two. So I would like to see what Road can do, because Road has been pretty good at being able to help his junglers rotate. Funny enough, this is going to be pretty consistent with what we're seeing here, where the top jungle proximity is coming through. Road goes and roams topside pretty frequently when he was on Billy. So if we're going to talk about Jinoo being your primary strength, you might see a support roam topside. I'm just putting that expectations out there for a lot of you.
I want to say, though, that this might be concerning in a different way for them because of the conversation we had earlier about Y4. If you need that consistent front line, if you need someone consistently there for Y4, Road is not going to be doing that. Like you said, he loves to roam, and whether for better or worse, it's sort of a bit of a meme here in the LPL when he gets picked off on those roams.
So yeah, it depends on the stage of the game, right? Because early on in the game, you're right, he's not going to be laning as much. alongside Y4, so Y4 might just be on his own. It might even go to show that he might pick Ezreal. That's been the stable when it was Jinzhao and Road. But then in teamfights, Road is a fantastic team fighter. Has always had those like shock value engages, which is why I don't expect him to get his hands on Alistar today. I expect Snake to recognize that that is his best pick and take it off the board, because I think Road is a great team fighter, but if we're just talking purely laning phase, that's not something that Y4 will have the benefit of having here in the matchup.
And that might be concerning, especially because Snake recently, with Asura, have been showing pretty good performances.
Yeah.
His Tristana game, absolutely nuts, man. He came out and just popped off on that pick. The early game, everyone was like, oh no, Snake, what are you doing? And then Asura's like, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry, I got this. And basically solo carried the remainder of the game post 2 items.
Well, that just kind of breaks my heart though, because you're right. Asura in the late stages of the game is so damn good. But the issue is here, if we're looking at Snake and how they end up team fighting, how they set up for objectives, it doesn't set him up to succeed oftentimes. He has to come out and have those outstanding team fights that essentially turn out as outplays, because the objective focus for Snake just isn't there in comparison to the rest of the talent. This is, for me, is going to be a huge test to Snake. If they could take down Victory 5 around those objectives, then I see improvement in the roster.
We don't want them to stay a one-note team. We want them to be able to sing a melody and get their way to victory and figure out different ways they can get success. But pick ban already starting off. That ban is just a Jinoo ban right there with a ribbon.
Yeah, alongside the Aatrox. Aatrox has been a pretty good flex, but just seeing what Jinoo could do with a lot of these bruises and carries on the top side makes a lot of sense that Snake on blue side would just start targeting him.
Of course, you look at V5's bans and picks, and Rek'Sai, absolutely S-tier jungler this patch with the changes to Conqueror, with her own buffs to her ultimate consistency, and then the Vladimir ban coming out from Snake. That surprises me a little bit because Flandre is so good on the pick.
Yeah, but he won't get his hands on it. That's always the fear, is that sure, Snake would want to be able to pick it up on a second rotation in first phase, but very realistically, Victory 5 will be able to get their hands on that immediately on red side. So that's where my concerns lie. Just remember that Zoe, with a huge win rate right now, has been left open. So that's my point, is that most of the time red side has been adapting to having to ban that on first phase. So allowing it open is going to be a test of corn.
Okay, I was really excited for a second there with the Anivia hover, but it's not going to be. Unfortunately, Raz, we're not going to see the Ice Chicken come out. But we are going to see an 80 carry, it looks like, is the priority here for Victory 5. And that Kalista, like we said, 22 KDA for Y4.
And I expect the Alistar to follow up. It's a great combination, and it's worked so well for Y4 and Road. So it just makes sense to me that they would pick it up. There's always the added concern. A lot of teams have moved away from the Alistar, recognizing that there are so many better matchups into that pick. So the Braum is something that they're concerned about. Tahm Kench has been a strong point too. So it's perhaps Road saying, all right, let me actually prioritize for the laning phase. While Kalista Alistar is wonderful later on in this game, I want to be able to counterpick here. So it's going to be interesting to see what they go up against, because Maestro is the type of person just to hop on the pick. Maestro loves Alistar if he gets his hands on it.
And that's why it's interesting to see them prioritize that LeBlanc in the mid lane over something like the Alistar, as you mentioned, because, yeah, I mean, it's nice to get a good matchup mid, but you've got a whole other rotation to do it.
It comes down to the counter-picking strategy. Remember, they know they're going up against a Zoe, so they just want to be able to pick up a good pick while going counter-pick. So now they know that it's a Tahm Kench here. There's the option that Road can pick up the Pyke. He's been picking it up a lot in solo queue, so there's something that I want to be able to, like, that's just a test for me. Pyke and Kalista doesn't sound like a fantastic duo, so I would almost anticipate it to be a Braum and tag it up with an AD jungler.
Now, the Ashe being picked up here for Snake, this is sort of the anti-LPL pick. Every time we've seen Ashe become meta previously, the LPL has been either slow to adapt to it or just hasn't really preferred picking it because of their playstyle, but it seems like Snake don't have those concerns this time around.
It depends where you're looking. I think last year was, you know, pretty hefty Ashe Tahm Kench priority on Suning as an example. Because, and to your point, that was Fury and Yoon, the Korean imports coming in for that roster. So it's fun to see it just because, once again, it gives you pick potential through mid lane if you use Tahm Kench quite a lot to, you know, use him for priority. Or if you're lane swapping, you know, get the lane shove in. If you have a good timing on bot lane turret, you can end up pushing your bot lane topside with Tahm Kench ultimate, and you'd have the priority. So Snake could be looking to hunt for towers early, something that they've been notoriously bad at. Second worst in the league at first towers.
And the double global ultimate should help them move around the map a little bit quicker. But we didn't see a support picked up for V5 in the first rotation, and now the Alistar, quite predictably, has been banned out.
I wonder if they're going to go for the Thresh ban. I haven't seen Rhodes Thresh in quite some time. So Thresh Kalista is just a stupid laning phase to deal with. So I guess they're just going to challenge Rhodes, say pick it up. Because Galio is a wonderful pick into the Tahm Kench as well. It allows for a lot of bot lane ganks. But remember when I said Braum and AD jungler are really good as well, so I can understand the Braum being covered. It's probably a good call out for Ben4 to now look towards the bot side. Even though his jungle topside priority is pretty high, this is a great composition to just focus on mid and bottom lane.
It looks like now the Braum going to be locked in, and that's a really quick stun coming out there with the combo with the Kalista. You know, Hail of Blades plus the Winter's Bite from Braum. That's a stun right there. So early game, Snake's bottom lane might have to be a little bit careful, but they do have the safety of the Tahm Kench.
And remember, it's amplified because Kalista goes Hail of Blades early on. Hail of Blades, just being able to proc the, Braum passive that much faster makes the 2v2 really interesting. So that's going to be something that maybe Snake look to adapt towards and try and focus bot side this time. Now,
SofM picking up the Kha'Zix here. It's a fairly aggressive pick, but how does it fare into the Lee Sin and the 1v1 in the early game?
Real good. It's been an old counter, so it's usually okay pre-6. Pre-6 is just about who gets the jump on who early, but knowing that because of the stat changes and buffs and nerfs that Kha'Zix has been receiving in the previous patches, Evolve Q has been really strong as an early pickup, and that just completely changes the matchup where Kha'Zix is favored there. So for Snake, their composition's looking really squishy, and it's going to be a lot of ownership on Maestro later on in the game to keep people active in these team fights.
Looks like V5 might want to keep themselves active as well, go with an aggressive pick like that Aurelia into the Kennen, though. Range versus melee might be a little bit harder than expected, but both rosters have now been locked in.
Yeah, it's a good call out. You're right. It's going to get pushed in. It's going to get traded into. The fact that Jinoo went Aurelia top lane versus the Kennen is a good call out that Lee Sin's going to go top. So even though I set up that I would much rather see Lee Sin go bot side, they picked the composition, or at least their last pick, making it so Ben4 is eventually going to go for a top lane gank, set Flandre behind, and then that's when Jinoo starts to snowball once he gets Trinity Force. I wonder if that's going to be, there's a lot of questions on what boots he's going to be able to get. That's something we'll have to look into the specifics in the matchup, but SofM, I wonder what the hell he's even going to do early on, because he wants to be able to track out Ben4, see where he is, and maybe get a gank on mid lane. But if I'm going up against Victory F5 with this composition, I don't know where this Lee Sin's going early.
They have a lot of freedom in both of their pathings. We're going to see how they develop as we get into the game, but Snake really want to pull in a win here. They are at risk of not being able to make it into playoffs. Victory 5 a little bit safer, but both of them really need this series win, and they're going to be bringing their all into game number 1.
And just to be specific, one set away from Sino Dragons, which is the 8th place spot. That's Victory 5's place. And for Snake, they're 2 series off. And that's just, at that point, it's not even in your hands whether or not you make playoffs. You just need to play as perfectly as you can and hope that the chips are all set in order for you. So for Snake, you already see that they're moving into that developmental mode, picking up Fenfen. That's a great call, because not only I think that's going to help them right now, but it's such a strong decision for the future, looking to summer. That being said, that's going to be real fun to see how Fenfen fares in the second series with the team, because his first series, if his first series was that good, having an early game lead like that, I think it's only going to get better for the kid.
And, this is a great place for him to test it as well. V5 are one of our mid-tier teams, so they're not too big of a challenge, but Korn, the matchup specifically, is huge, so we'll see how he fares coming into game number 1 of Snake versus Victory 5. A little bit chaos in the last 2 calls there, Rez.
Still packed ass in Chongqing. That's real nice to see for Snake. That's, even though them and OMG have been teams that have been faltering at the time in this, in this series, at this point of the season, no matter what, they always get the fans backing them. So it's always fun to see it. Whenever it's, let's say, Snake versus WE, Snake versus EDG, of course you see the fans start to pack up with those fans, with far more EDG fans. Snake has been Chongqing has been the city that has been behind Snake every step of the way.
Snake gonna want to live up to the expectations there. And it's gonna be interesting looking. We have an electrocute Zoe once again.
Electrocute Zoe, I love to see. Whenever she tries to get scrappy in the matchup, that really depends on how her Spell Thief's RNG goes for her. Because if she gets Proto Bell, GLP, then she can just handily win these 1v1s in what should be a bad matchup for her. I like to see Electrocute. So it's just a laning phase pickup.
Looking at the bottom lane trade there, Asura actually won that, but with Hail of Blades Callista, is that usually how that's going to go for the rest of the lane?
I mean, volley, the range advantage for Ashe has just been something you're afraid of. It reminds me of the old Kog'Maw Braum lane where they get outranged, they get pushed in, but as long as Braum plays it out well, probably gets a slow proc off his Q, they can run him down. And so they're just hunting for a mistake essentially. If they can get a mistake off of Asura and Maestro, that's nice to see. And you can already see that it's allowing SofM to get an early look on Scuttlecrab and maybe an invade.
V5 had spotted him out on the Scuttlecrab as well, so Ben4 maybe looking for the aggressive gank, but Flandre knows a little bit better. They know that that's a little bit too choreographed, and now SofM looking towards that blue buff. Early pathing from him once again, pretty good.
Wonder if he ever notices the Ghost Burrow there. Either way, Ghost Burrow being there against Ben4's gets a lot of good vision, and yeah, Hawkshot baby. I miss Hawkshot, I really do. Whenever I see an Ashe on my screen, hits level 2, throws that Hawkshot to the enemy like red side jungle.
Instant honor. Oh, engage. Whoa! That went a lot better for Jinoo than I was expecting. It's a ton of damage. Flandre going to try and trade back, but half health to a little bit under a third there.
He's going to be underneath his tower, just going to... Thankfully, he went through his potions, so he should be able to just kind of heal right back up. But that's matchup now in favor of Jinoo. Well, Lee Sin has been vertically jungling up topside, so initially I would have expected Flandre to do quite well here, if not just farm up a little bit easier. Okay, SofM.
Ooh, jungler duel. Ben4 gonna get out of them with a little quick ward hop there. Pretty cute.
So the initial invade that he had was just a blue buff steal, and then he tried to, push Lee Sin off topside. So he's still trying to cater to Flandre while looking to just trade on vertical jungling. So it's nice to see. In fact, that's just going to be SofM picking up his own blue buff. That's just a triple buff for sure.
Ben4 just wants to try and keep priority up there in the top lane for Jinoo, set him up, keep him with the lead. SofM trying to do the opposite. So we're seeing a lot of top focus so far from both of these junglers.
Jinoo is going to be in a tough spot, even though it looks like he's likely hunting for this. He just doesn't have his jungler, and his jungler won't be on this side of the map for some time.
Looks like they've spotted out Ben4. Some pings going down from the blue side towards that, and Fenfen will spot it out, put down a good defensive ward, and now Ben4 is just trying to scout out as much as he can, get some vision down, try and take away the Krugs.
That's really risky. If you're on red side, and if you try and invade for Krugs on bot side, your enemy dual lane is going to converge on you.
Oh boy.
Very consistently that will happen. So at least he got some experience off of that. That's always nice to see. But you don't want to be going that hard.
Well, and it was good defensive positioning there from Road as well, knowing that, and just being there for his jungler as a way to escape. V5 are still playing real aggressive down into this red side.
Yeah, they can do this freely. Corrin has the push in lane. So that'll be nice to see. Corrin and Ben4 are working that closely. And honestly, Ben4 needs to be able to use LeBlanc a little bit more. The fear is that the matchup with Zoe versus LeBlanc turns against Corrin. And from that point forward, SofM can use Fenfen to either look for a dive on bot lane or to turn the top lane matchup. So that's what I'm afraid of if SofM ever gets Fenfen in his corner. But for now, I mean, Ben4 and Corrin working alongside each other, looking to invade on red side jungle and start to take away Raptors from SofM, allows Ben4 the experience advantage.
And Corrin will keep the lead for a little bit because of the dematerializer, but he's going real aggressive here into the mid lane. Q lands from Ben4. Barely not getting the kill. The flash away, flash traded. First blood goes down to SofM, and Corrin just going to have to walk away, trading away a few autos while he can.
Ben4 was so confident that he was going to get execution on that one because he W'd in, weaved in an auto attack before he used his Q to, thinking that he had execute on Fenfen. That's real sad to see. Just so people know, most comfortable champion for Ben4 is Lee Sin. So Lee Sin is a shared pool, a shared comfort for both SofM and Ben4. So Ben4 losing out on that really sucks for him.
And now this gives SofM a lot of freedom to do things like contest the scuttle, get some more vision down so they can track Ben4 better. And this will also set behind Corn in the mid lane because he had that priority, he had the aggressive positioning, but now he's being forced to clear it out with a minion dematerializer, and this might start going Fenfen's way a lot more, despite having to blow summoners.
So take a look at this one. If he had landed the chain, that would have been wonderful for Corn. Would have been able to get the necessary damage. See, as you can weave in the auto attack. He does get his full damage across, but it was just unfortunate that it's just a chain away from a kill onto Fenfen, and they could have then turned onto SofM. So sometimes it works out like that. 2v2 can really just go against you if you make that one mistake.
Yeah, even an extra auto, but now that mistake has snowballed into an Ocean Drake for Snake, and so far in the early game, they're running away with it. 600 gold ahead, sure, but all of their lanes so far are winning, or at least going very close to even.
You can already see what's happening here. To your point, Fenfen has already gotten the shove on mid lane, and this is what you're going to be expecting, unless if not hitting the chain. Unless if there's kill pressure here still, sure, like for Corn. But the issue is now that he loses the push pressure that we had anticipated that he would have. So Fenfen, now having lost Chapter, can always just let one hit the back line. And of course, he's going to get his hands on the Spell Thieves pretty consistently. It's going to be tough for Corn to combat that push if he doesn't have a chain on him or, gank from Ben4.
And when Ben4 hits 6, that might be an opportunity, but, he has other lanes to pay attention to. Y4 and Road are doing fine in the lane. They're going about even, but they could go further, or he could go towards the mid and top. So all three lanes could use his attention in some fashion. So it's going to be interesting to see how he prioritizes his lanes going forward at that level 6 mark.
Just depends if he tries to skip steps, because some teams try and go in and out, either look for a lane gank bottom lane when they know Kalista's hit 6, and that could work. Only concern is that there's a Tahm Kench in the lane, and if a team's on top of it, SofM is a great counter ganker, so he would probably be on that side of the map anticipating it. There's just so much to be concerned about with going for a bot lane gank when you don't have mid lane pressure. So, coach within me is saying, you got to get mid lane pressure first. If the gank mid doesn't succeed, then at least you have push in lane before you end up going bottom lane. And that's what I'm hoping here from Ben4. Here comes the ultimate.
Chain of Crusader going a little bit wide. Ben4 going to make it out of this one alive, but they are being so careful, trying to set him so far behind. And like you said, with all that focus around mid lane, now the top lane is having a little bit of freedom to just scrap it out together. But Ben4 going to clear out some more wards, and there's a lot of action around this dragon side, but the only thing really up there is going to be the bottom lane potential gank and then the Scuttle Crab.
Next dragon is going to be Cloud Dragon. And a lot of this pressure here is just to be able to clear out the road between mid and bot lane. As long as Snake can control through mid, Sleepy Travel Bubble leading towards bottom lane is such a great amount of threat for Y4 and Road to deal with. And just imagine what that roam looks like. Because even though, if Y4 and Road escape tower, that's early, turret plating being lost from the bot side of the map. Asura and Maestro being able to open up the map a little bit more for, let's say, if they decide to go back bottom lane for an ultimate and engage. Or they can go top side and try and set that up on top lane tower. So Snake, for the first time in the split, feels like they're trying to change things up rather than looking for kills, are trying to go for first tower goals, which hasn't been a priority for them in the past, I would say 2 seasons, which is insane.
If they do go for a heavy gank towards the bottom lane, though, there's always the potential that it gets outplayed to some degree, because you look at those bot laners, Kalista and Braum, and both of them have fight-changing ultimates that can extend tower dives past what Snake may be able to deal with, because they don't really have tanky divers, but SofM, instead, looking towards the top side.
Thankfully, pathing's been good from Ben4. He was on top side being able to pick up Grug, so he still has quite a bit of experience. He caught up to SofM there. After losing out early on, I was a little bit worried for him. The fact that SofM would be able to hit 6, have greater pressure, challenge him on Raptors, hasn't been the case, and Ben4 is able to pick up Krug, where right now SofM is opposite side of the map for that one. So I think that My question would be if Ben4 gets a kickoff mid. He has flash. He has, you know, full damage here. Control ward to set him up. This is a pretty damn good setup here on Fenfen.
Smites back up. They're looking for it, but redemption there on Fenfen. Corn again with the chains, not going to land, but he will get the electrocute damage.
Feels bad. I mean, Corn's a great LeBlanc player, but has been missing every setup that would set up for the Lee Sin kill or just gank. That was a great opportunity where Ben4 had everything ready to be able to get the kill on Fenfen.
Now Snake potentially positioning towards that bottom side. Dragon will be coming up in just 30 seconds. Once again, just a cloud, but again, Snake just wants this early game lead. If they're going for that first tower, every little bit helps.
Whenever it comes to games like these where early Cloud Dragon's available, you're right. It's just going to be about the lanes for now. So, Ben4, here we go. Get out of there, man.
Oh, he might have to use the kick, but instead jumps over the wall, flashes away as well. So that's a flash down. Not going to be able to flash kick for the engage later on.
And that's just early Scuttle Crab control as well. That makes it so much easier now for Snake to get pushed back mid, go right back to the bottom lane. I don't anticipate a dive happening, but that's going to be a tower, I would say 14 minutes. In 14 minutes, it's going to be easy for them to pick up. They've already been prioritizing turret plating gold. All right, here we go.
Just like clockwork, SofM going to go solo that dragon once again. He will get support from his side laners, but now Snake, we've seen this before in one of their series. I believe it was versus IG, where the first 15 minutes looked absolutely masterful. They looked like they had a clear plan. They knew exactly what they were doing, and then it sort of fell apart past that point, Raz.
Don't remind me. Flandre has to get out of here, though.
Flandre being real careful.
That's always been my concern, though. Shot calling for the team's been rough, but I wonder what Fenfen ends up giving them. Because he's a super reliable mid laner. He's been the type to just kind of always focus on playing through push control in mid lane, and then looking to support whoever has been active on the map. It's going to be easily SofM. Here's the play on Fenfen.
Fate's Call, flash forced out from Fenfen, but now that's the Fate's Call out from V5. This could still turn into a team fight. V5 on the flank, Volley goes out.
This is just awkward. No one has push on top side, so they're just going to stick here until someone decides against it. Flandre.
Oh, there goes the ultimate from Flandre. He's going to try and get the stuns up. Ben4 in trouble, potentially. Road flashes away, and Snake are still having a good position in this fight. Flandre looking for the chase, but gets kicked into the entirety of his team. No Vanguard's Edge still available for Jinoo, so he won't be able to use that. SofM jumps in, still invisible, looking for the kill now onto Jinoo. They finally get it. CB Trouble Bubble now landed once again onto Road. A great Enchanted Crystal Arrow, and Maestro tries to follow up with the Abyssal Voyage. The W will slow him down. The flash over from Fenfen. They're looking for Y4. He is so low. Tongue Lash hits the Krugs, but that's the double kill for Fenfen and the fight for Snake.
That was nonsensical between both these teams. They both feel ashamed, but damn it, Snake coming out ahead on that one. Like, both of them just completely gave away topside pressure. So there was like, all right, we're just going to stick here until the fight ends up happening. And it was Flandre that went in first. So Flandre goes in first. Fenfen sees he can follow up because that was a lot of damage onto Road. And from that point forward, you don't have your front line. If you don't have Road, Ben4 doesn't have the flash to be able to come out and help you. It was easy for them to move out forward and try and threaten them. And they had level 6 on top catch too. So take a look at how it first starts. Because Road eats a lot of damage in Sleepy Double Bubble to start. So from this point forward, he can't even come in as a proper frontliner. Corn doesn't have mana. How are we going to continue the fight? Them splitting up. Good call from Snake to just say, okay, we'll take the people on the left. No reason for Jinoo to walk up on us when he just has 3 members and doesn't have anyone else who can provide consistent damage. And so that's where the snowball comes in. Good call from Snake when the fight started. No fight should have started to begin with.
It's just such a weird divided fight, especially the ending chase from Y4. I mean, at that point, he's already dead, but the fight has gone so quickly for V5. And Flandre, with what looked a little bit like a suicide initiation in the Flandre style, turned out to be a really great start. So now, Snake up 4 kills, 2k gold, 2 dragons. They're in a really great spot here going into the mid-game.
I was worried too because coming up to that point, Road and Y4 had rotated topside pretty early on. They very easily could have just tried to get push pressure and threatened top lane tower, good vision control on blue buff, and be able to threaten for that. Most teams would do that. They just tried to look for kills, and here's another one.
Exhaust thrown down onto Corn, but it's not going to get the kill, and they should be able to make it out of that. That's a lot of damage onto Ben4 from Fenfen, but both will survive.
Ben4 has been taking so much pressure and has needed to just base so frequently. This one is going to cost them quite a bit.
Should be the first tower here. There's 4 members in the middle lane with the Rift Herald, but they don't have a minion wave just yet, so Shelly's going to take a little bit of crush damage there.
This should go quick tower. This should go into the second tower too. Just look at where Kalista and Braum are. They weren't ready for the play. Not going to be able to defend. There's going to be a lot of tower damage that Snake's able to provide.
It's a really good early game here from Snake so far. Rift Herald up now as well. So they've gotten their first tower. They've broken open the mid lane, but there's still 2 outers remaining. So bottom lane, top lane, which one should they focus down first here?
You mean Snake, right?
Yeah.
Should be top lane. But oh, speaking of that.
Oh, there's the Enchanted Crystal arrow in, but
it's all good.
Yeah, no. Tongue lash, I mean, that's something.
Yeah, that's all right. But top lane, always focus on your duo lane. It's a little bit sad that Asura just used his ultimate like that because you want to be able to set up for those plays. Kha'Zix was already top lane, and, you know, Fenfen has always had push here. So the play would always be to look to push mid, get vision control topside, which they've already had, and then you can look for a dive on top lane. But Asura doesn't have Enchanted Crystal Arrow anymore, so it just makes life a little bit harder. It extends the time that, you know, doing nothing essentially.
Especially looking at this mid lane here. We've seen, mostly from LGD, I'd say, when Yuki gets ahead on the Zoe and starts pushing down the mid lane, we've seen it from Knight as well. It's just terrible for the enemy team, and a little bit of mistimed gank there from Snake, but Fenfen having this pressure onto the mid lane with the push that Zoe provides is so dangerous for V5 if they're not careful.
Yeah, it's real hard to deal with, especially where if Corrin is situated in mid lane and not trying to look for a side lane push, then his job is... Oh, wait. This is going to be rough.
Snake once again, maybe looking for a pick.
Okay.
Whoa! That was just the Q and an auto onto Corrin, and he's forced back.
Yeah, well...
Oh my god,
thankfully, this is control warded. Corrin doesn't know what to do.
No. Okay, it's not going to land. They're safe for now. Fenfen forced to back off now.
But now they got top lane turret. Remember, oh, they're going for a lot here.
Road chunked out Corrin as well, so those two definitely can't defend, and now that's the first outer tower.
All right, there we go. I mean, so much pressure in red side jungle, and at this point, Fenfen is so far ahead. This is 2 series in a row. Came in for the first time around, and his Lissandra was great. This time around on the Zoe pick, not only was he working alongside SofM early on to get a proper lead, and was threatening on enemy Raptors, now he's just balling. Fenfen's debut on Snake has been so good so far.
And now the entire team is set up around Fenfen. You know, he's 2-0-2, and he's picked up the Ludens and the Sork boots. So he's going to be doing a massive amount of damage, and the rest of his team a little bit behind in the build, but it's about to be the 2 items there for Asura's Ashe.
And one thing that I was kind of alluding to before the topside fight happens is if you just have Zoe after mid lane outer turret goes down, you have control wards on either side of the wall. There are massive terrains that allow you to weave Sleepy Trouble Bubbles through mid lane and start to threaten on whoever's picking up the wave. In this case, it would be Corrin. If it's not Corrin, then it's going to be Y4, and thankfully both of them have cleanse that can deal with that.
Oh, SofM stopping the back. Not going to gamble it, and he will get out of there safely despite Ben4 and Rhodes' best efforts. Oh, they're still on the chase maybe.
I mean, they're not going to kill him, but it's just going to make him hate his life a little bit more before he actually tries to back.
Sounds a lot like my jungle solo queue experiences.
Yeah.
V5 will finally get a consolation prize of that tower in the bottom lane, but look at Snake. They've got the 3rd dragon of the game. They're just dominating the objective game so far.
Early Ocean, I mean, double Ocean's always nice for a Zoe if he's just trying to control through mid. It makes it so Snake can reliably play a slower game in topside, where in this case you have, Kennen looking to push up top. You probably have Asura looking to push bot and look for the outer bot lane turret. But then Zoe can just spam out spells, Sleepy Trouble Bubbles through mid lane, and try and get a pick off of Corrin. Corrin has been getting chunked so frequently early on this game. That's all he's thinking about at this point. And so it makes it so much easier for Fenfen to get a lot of push off here reliably and just kind of have SofM play through him.
And now that's really dangerous for V5 because if they spend all that focus on the mid, then Snake gets to make plays around the rest of the map. Fenfen is so strong right now. He seems to be preventing V5 from really getting anything done. Do they need to focus around him and try and get that pick, or is there nothing they can do?
A lot of teams have tried to go on towards a Zoe pick, and it really just depends on if you have eyes on the Tahm Kench or not. Right now, Tahm Kench has been moving with Asura quite a bit, but if Tahm Kench is out of vision or is working alongside SofM, in trying to push for vision, then Zoe is just safe. Remember, she has first flash, and if you try to flash onto her, she's going to be able to get out. Here's a dive.
Potential dive there. He's going to follow it up finally, but Flandre goes golden, keeping himself alive. A lot of damage onto Ben 4. Jinoo. Oh! Whoa, Flandre! Not going to be able to get out, but Jinoo, the second tower shot, maybe? No! Safeguard saves him. And in the meantime, Y4 got picked off. Fenfen and SofM still in the chase onto Road. Road incredibly low. Should be get chunked out there. There's the leap from Fenfen and the final kill. And now Snake chasing down onto the 2 injured members of Victory 5. SofM doesn't want to go for the distance.
Yeah, they're just going to back away. Ben 4 and Jinoo so low off the dive top lane. Where's Maestro heading?
Straight towards that mid lane. They push down the tier 2 in the bottom lane, and now they're just looking for the tier 2 mid, and Snake doing so well at chunking down these towers and preventing V5 from making any proactive moves of their own.
Most discipline I've seen Snake. At this stage when they have these gold leads, and I'm also talking about 2018 Snake as well, dominoes start falling because one of their side lanes end up dying, and so many members end up trying to look to help them out in one way, shape, or form and getting picked off. That's always been one fear from Snake. Or they try and use the early push advantage to try and get a cheap kill on side lane, rather than trying to set up for larger objectives, vision control. A lot of people call it the Korean way of playing. It's just a more reliable way of playing the game. And Snake need to start to practice that out with how poorly their games have been. This is Y4 and Braum trying to head topside. Y4 was so far away from his support, tried to flash towards him and ended up getting killed.
Just getting chunked down there by the red buff, or the red smite rather as well. And the chase from Fenfen just gonna pick him off finally. There's not a whole lot you can do at that point. If you're so far away from the one person that can keep you safe on those rotations, you're just gone.
I will say though that for Victory 5, the one way they can end up winning this game is through Jinoo's Aurelia. Just because if you remember TOP's last series, where they were losing I think it was game 1 pretty convincingly early on in the game to FPX, but it was 369 who ended up getting a solo kill. Oh, they're going straight for him, SofM.
Trying to burst down SofM with the EW combo, but no luck, and V5 are forced off again. It doesn't seem like even when they have the angle, they can get much done.
They thought they had a clear angle on towards Kennen and didn't know that Kha'Zix was just sitting around in that bush, so that's probably it. But I was just SofM just hunting and protecting his side lane push, which is always good. Just trying to see if there's a crack in the armor, which I like to see from Victory 5, always testing. They're the second bloodiest team in the LPL right now, #1 unsurprisingly in Invictus Gaming. Victory 5 are the type of team that they see an opportunity, they'll try and go for it. So it's unsurprising that they're a team that ends up finding their ways back into games pretty consistently, but this one's gonna be hard.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage coming out. Zoe's hit that 2-item spike with the Morellonomicon, with the Ludens. She's looking mighty dangerous, and you know, Asura as well has completed the 2 and gotten the BF sword, so a lot of AD backing up that attack speed.
My God. Look, I love my fair share of Zoe games. I love it. But this is one of those Zoe games that are just outright oppressive. What the hell?
It just hurts, man.
Your soul?
Just sitting there, it's like, oh, Fenfen's just got items now. I guess V5 die if they ever walk mid. Cool. That's sort of the state of the game right now, and the great thing for Fenfen is he's got so many people around him that are having success as well. You know, his jungle is top. The top lane is the only death there from Flandre, and it's not even like he went inting in a side lane. He just died, and that's fine.
I mean, for Flandre, he's in the hardest position in a lot of these matchups. Fenfen has a way out. He has push easily. Asura has Maestro, and he already has the shove on volley as well. The fact that Flandre has to go into these side lanes in a 1-3-1 in a split push versus Aurelia with Trinity Force, and he's already looking towards Titanic, that's difficult. So Flandre has just been playing well in a bad situation and looking for a fight so he can teleport to.
And now with Snake threatening around Baron, that might give him the opportunity he's looking for, because
they're going for the kill on Aurelia. That's actually a full committal.
Oh, they might be able to land the stun here onto Jinoo, save Flandre. There's the redemption coming down, trying to keep him alive as best they can. Maestro's there. Flandre gets eaten up by the Devourer, and SofM picks up his 4th kill of the game.
They made the call so quickly that Victory 5 didn't have the chance to converge on Baron. They were already just starting to push up mid lane. You could make the call that Korn and Lee Sin were on the map, but at that point they really needed Kalista. And if you go far, you just start talking about, let's say if they did do Baron. Teleport was there for Flandre. Flandre was actually pretty topped on that one too. And so he would have been able to stall alongside Fenfen, and Asura didn't even rotate to the play. His help was just an enchanted crystal arrow across the map. So That would have been a long Baron take, and it would have been contested.
And people meme about the Cloud Drake a lot. I know you guys hate it. I get it. It's kind of boring, but at the same time, that's what allowed partially that rotation to happen so quickly.
Yeah, don't even give me that. Right?
No, look, Raz, I gotta sell it.
Nah, it's garbage. But the fact that it will help them out in their Elder Dragon take, now that they have like 2 Cloud Dragons, 2 Oceans, Elder Dragon's going to be so much stronger when they actually go for it. That's going to make it so Snake, if they go for the Elder Dragon, if the game goes that long, they're going to be super strong compositionally.
Okay, but then can we at least say that Cloud Dragon is like recycling? Because it is trash, but it can be used for something better.
I mean, it's good for some comps, man.
There we go. We got it, guys. You heard him, boys.
I'm just talking about priority. But so far, actually, Victory 5 has been completely pushed out this side of the map. If they try to go through this jungle, that is actually just the weirdest decision for Victory 5 to try for this.
This is really odd positioning from them, and I don't know if they really have an angle they want here. Redemption going to see them, and that might be the cause for Ben4 to jump in, get the kick back. They finally shut down Fenfen, but Snake now have the defensive angle that they want, and if Flandre can get the ultimate, they'll stay alive.
We'll have to see. Right now, Snake not having Zoe makes it a lot easier for Victory 5 to find an angle.
There's the ultimate and the flash in from Flandre on to 4. They're chasing down SofM, trying to zone off Jinoo as best he can. Asura still full health, but he gets knocked up in the backline. Ben4 so low. Asura finally gets taken down, and Snake losing the fight. The flash in from SofM secures them the kill, but so far it's 1 for 3 in favor of Victory 5. Make that 4.
I really want to get back to that replay. Like, what was the Snake were focusing so much on towards the tower when they were getting surrounded by Victory 5 in the jungle. The whole point of this being able to get that much control in that side of the jungle and looking for the tower is just in case if they walk through it, you can challenge them. Snake had been so far ahead this game. For them to say, okay, we're actually focusing on the tower and not the fight is surprising for me. Let's see if SofM can try and stop them.
He's looking for the poke while he can. The Baron debuff going to be helping him out a little bit, but those are really healthy members on V5. They're trying to get the pick onto him. Corn really low. Might be the first one taken down. Fenfen's here now to try and help out. Y4's chasing down onto him, but that's a lot of damage. The Ignite finishes off the kill. SofM kicked out into the back line. Fenfen trying to stay alive against Ben4. Not able to, but he gets the Sleepy Trouble Bubble in time. SofM with a double kill. And now 3 members of V5 dead and 1 forced out. This could be the Baron for Snake.
I felt so bad for Corn, man. Just take a look at LeBlanc's dead body in the pit. Had about 10 HP to spare, and Baron Buff was the one that finished her off. That was tough, but SofM and Fenfen holding them off and being able to now pick up Baron Asher is a huge win for Snake.
Snake, a minor misstep, turning into 4 deaths for them, but they turn it around with a great combination of their jungler and their mid lane poking down the Baron fight for V5. Now they've got a Baron of their own and 4 Drakes to their name.
I was wondering how far they're going to go back in this replay, not going back to where the problem really started, but how Fenfen and SofM played it well enough. Eyes on Corn. He's trying to just wait for his distortion so he can get the hell out of the pit. Baron Buff's not even going to give him that chance. And Fenfen plays this out super well, stealing out, of course, the flash and the spell thieves to be able to move around and get the kill on Lee Sin. So overall, Snake are playing well. They're just small mistakes that you want to see cleaned up that can push them as playoff contenders. But they're having a great step right now, taking down Victory 5. This is a pretty big upset.
Yeah, and that last Sleepy Trouble Bubble in that fight from Fenfen quite literally got them the Baron because it stopped Ben4 from killing SofM. Danger on this mic. I mean, they could have still gone for it, Raz, but it's a little bit of dangerous there. And now they've gotten 5 dragons in 30 minutes, which means I think the next dragon will be up before Infernal.
Triple Ocean makes
Or before Elder, rather.
I think the game will probably end before that point. I think. We'll have to see how Flandre ends up playing through. Corn knows someone's in there, dog. He knows.
Come on, Corn.
Corn knows.
Don't be ridiculous.
Yeah, there we go. Corn knows. I think Flandre was close enough to the wave itself anyways for the Baron buff to apply, so not even a question.
Uh-oh.
Not even a question. Stop it. Get out of here.
This is a cheeky Q if I ever saw one. Stalls out Corn from responding to anything.
LeBlanc doesn't even, shouldn't even be in this side of the lane anyways. She needs to be up top side because mid lane and top lane push are going to be what Snake are looking for.
Now SofM getting at least half of that done, and the rest of the team sitting in mid. A lot of pressure coming out. You know, the Zoe almost to a Rabadon. She does so much damage with every single one of her abilities. If that Trouble Bubble lands, they die.
At this point, this is going to be a slow pick. I have not seen jungle just be the solo one going top lane.
Yeah.
But
I've never seen a Kha'Zix in a 1-4-1 in the, or 1-3-1 in the one position.
yeah, ordinarily in this kind of a setup, you would think that Snake would go for a 1-4 since they have a Zoe. Going for a 1-3-1 with that one is probably the safest way you could possibly play out your lead. That's how you know a team is just not so comfortable with a lead at this stage, because they don't want to make any mistakes.
Well, they haven't really had the opportunity to play like this before. They haven't been in a position where they've kept a lead healthily, so I kind of like that they're playing it a little bit safe, considering that it is Snake.
One of my favorite stats for Snake is the fact that they were the first place, like the best team in the league at being able to pick up a win when in a deficit at 15 minutes into the game. So when they are behind in a series, in a game, they have ways to come back. We've all seen it be done. So when they go up against WE, there are instances in the past where they've always found those moments against like Invictus Gaming. They play to their opponents, and they always find ways in team fights to come back. So there's always the mechanics on Snake that you have to be aware of. That being said, this is one of those first games that they're able to get a consistent lead and slowly play it forward.
And slow play with only 1 or 2 missteps. Yeah, they were kind of big, like losing that team fight before the Baron, but they played it well.
Victory 5 needs to do something about this, though. This is a third inhibitor. And I know they tried to go for a flank with Korn, but my God, please, somebody.
I mean, what can Korn do at that point? You have the Devour for Asura. Fenfen will just kill you, as will Flandre.
It just needs to be Lee Sin going for a flash kick. He has flash. He has a ward up and available. You even have, you know, Kalista ultimate as she's now going to sleep. Good night. There we go!
Boy, there's the kick, but it's in the wrong direction, and Ben 4 is the first one to get taken out in the team fight. Snake looking to close this one out. A lot of AoE damage coming in from Asura. He picks up one, picks up another. He's looking for the triple. There's the kill from SofM. The best you can get is still a triple, Asura, but it's not looking like he's going to get it, but they'll get something a little bit better, Raz, and that's the first win in their series versus V5.
This is pretty damn good. In fact, let's go for a celebration dive. No. All right, they're not. They're gonna live him. They're gonna keep him alive. I'm okay with that too. But this is Snake improving through mid lane, no less. This is Snake saying that not only will we have a new, like a roster change coming in, breath of fresh air, but strategically they've played out differently. They have changed dramatically in how they want to play out the game. So like drafting is now giving power towards Asura early on in the series. Able to start to reliably focus on turret. In fact, even one of their mistakes that they had in the top lane, where they ended up, you know, losing Fenfen, losing the fight, that was them prioritizing the top lane turret so much that they lost everything else. So there's a definite focus for Snake, and it makes him count.
It's really weird because this almost doesn't look like Snake.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time Snake would play through Flandre. They'd be like, hey, Flandre, can you win this lane matchup? Cool. We're going to wait for you for like 15 minutes, and then you're going to carry us, right? Neat. Asura, hey, can you survive bot lane by yourself? You can? Cool. All right. We win the game. Nice. Mala, Andy, don't feed.
Except for the win in the game part.
Yeah, okay.
So like the strategy hasn't
They never
been
got
working.
that far.
So like if a strategy hasn't been working, you might want to change it up. So I like the fact that they've made those changes with Drew Kai, their coach. So it's nice to see that not only have they understood, like, you know, being in the bottom of the barrel in the league for quite some time, actually, that the changes are necessary, but their changes also just to how they end up playing the map early, which is something that has been needing to happen for some time. Like early in the morning, we were talking about like what do we need to see happening from Snake to succeed, and it's just the fact that they've been willing to concede first turrets so consistently, concede a lot of lane matchups. Sometimes it's not their fault. They're drafting proper lanes mid, and it just hasn't been working out. But now they can play through mid, and now the early games are starting to shape up. So this is definitely a series that if you were expecting Victory 5 to come out ahead, then I think you're going to be having a tough day.
Yeah, it might be a little bit rough for him, but we'll see if Snake can finish him off, get the 2-0 in the Snake Pit, or if Victory 5 will bite back in game number 2.